All right, awesome, guys. I was looking at some records. I just have to. I looked at the old rent rate when you came on 33 years ago, and it was like $1,275, and today it's $3,025. And I know the value has went just skyrocketed, especially in the last 2 years. And so, that's really, really great. I'm so happy for you guys that it's been a success for you. But let me ask you this. When you first started thinking about, I know there's been a lot of years ago, over 30 years ago, why was it important at that time to take energy to look at management companies? Do you remember why it was important?
Why is it important?
I guess what is important here is that when we purchased the property, it was intended essentially for the use of our children who are studying in California. After they graduated and going to live for their wherever they're going to in terms of their job, then we are left with a property that either we sell or we lease it out. So it was only at that point in time that we sort of made the decision that we will go out and look for a management company that will be able to, I would say, protect our own interests. And that's where Management One comes in.
Okay. So after you did that, how long did it actually take you to take action towards interviewing management companies? Did that happen right away as soon as your kids moved out of the property?
Yeah, when we decided to have it leased, then we had to act immediately. And, at that point in time, we didn't have anybody to help us. But there was one person, the one who sold us the property. He knew of a couple, a couple that rented properties for owners. So they came over to the house and they brought a big television. They propped in the diskette and showed us what they could do. And that started it. I don't know if that was how connected were you to them, but they were the ones who started it for us.
Yes, they were my partners. It was Paul and Dolores Massey. Yeah. That's who it was that came over to your house and did the presentation. Yeah, back in those days, we didn't have internet, right? Everything was on cassette tape and stuff. So yeah. So what were some of your, what I call self-doubts or fears that you had prior to taking action or pulling the trigger to go with Management One? What were some of those fears that you had?
They look so trustworthy. They look so trustworthy and able to do the job. So we decided to give it to them. And we needed, at that point in time, we really needed somebody who could take care of our property and who could be trustworthy and be concerned about our own interests. That's it. Yes.
So what were, when you went ahead and first signed up, what were, those are some of your fears, but you felt that those were overcome by them. You felt they were trustworthy, right? On that end of it there. So let me ask you this. What was like maybe the one thing or the magnet that attracted you to our services over any other companies you were looking at out there?
Recommendation of the real estate agent who made that suggestion, because we already trust him in the sense that he was the one instrumental when we did purchase the property. So over the years, he has gained our trust, and therefore, when he recommended that together with that presentation, then that's it. We just thought about this is the right people that we want to be involved with.
All right. Yeah. So basically, obviously with him referring you to us, and then you liked the presentation, and Paul and Dolores that went ahead and signed you up and stuff. So that makes sense. So let me ask you this. What was it like, let's say in the first year that was kind of unexpected that came up when you started using our services and stuff? Can you remember back what was maybe you thought, wow, I didn't know they had that service or whatever? Was there any one thing in the first year or so that came up?
Concerns?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we were concerned about how to be in touch with you, because at one point in time I wanted to refer something to you, but I was hesitant to write to call you directly, and I didn't know exactly what to do about my concern. It was resolved later on when there was the email, and I could email directly to you without being concerned that I was disturbing you. During that time, it was not that easy to communicate. And to know that your communication is acceptable or awaited, or maybe I could be boring you or giving you problems that were not really problems at all. So I was not really sure about how to relate to the management company.
Okay, so to pony back on that, okay, so when your property was, let's say, vacant or you had major repairs, I know even I was involved with you on a couple of those, but how did you handle the stress when a property was vacant? And, I don't know if you had a mortgage on it back then or not, but how did you deal with those things as far as those stressful times?
Okay. Major repairs, change of tenants every year. Those are quite nightmares. And one example is one tenant completely deteriorated the property, and when he left, major repairs had to be done. At that time, you, Ron, you were not doing yet your webinars and advising us to keep some of the money for instances like this. So we didn't do it. We were not keeping something for repairs, unusual repairs. So how did we handle it? At that time, we had to do some borrowings. To keep up with the renovation and the cleanup expense. And yes, it was extremely stressful. But now I realize that with your suggestions, that was a really good suggestion in the webinar, that we could have done that a long time ago and kept some money from, whatever, to keep up with the changes or renovations that are needed for the property. Yes.
Yeah, it's funny because as those monies come in, if they're not set aside, you just innocently squander them away. And then all of a sudden you have these repairs or improvements because things are going to wear out. We don't really look at that things are going to wear out, but they do. So overall, as far as on this here, so having the rental property now 30 years later, what has it really done for you guys personally? And did it really solve what you were trying to accomplish by having a rental property? The rental, the property's renting for a whole lot more. Obviously it's worth, 2 to 3 times what you paid for it, if not more. Has that really solved or accomplished what you were trying to do by having a rental property? I know you kind of got it by default because your kids were renting it and then you just kept it. But obviously it's done quite well for you over the last 30 years in terms of the appreciation of the property and now the rent being so high. Yes?
Yes. Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
Very true. That's
Go ahead. What's that?
It's very true that it has really increased in value. Well, we have gotten some equity from it too, to help us. Yeah.
Yeah, just the last 2 years, properties like that. I mean, that property has went up in the last 2 years, easy, 200 to 250,000, as far as just in the appreciation of the property itself. So you guys have done quite well as far as on that. So let me ask you this: if you were to, let's say, jump back in time in a time machine before you started using our property management services, what would you tell yourself today? Knowing what you know now, 30 years later, if you could go back in time when you were looking at having us manage your property, what would you tell yourself?
Invest in real estate property and look for a good management company that can take care of it and protect your interests.
So with that said, what advice would you give somebody, one of your friends or family, what advice would you give them today that someone's looking to have have a company, a management company manage your property? What advice would you give them today?
Well, they have to be very careful in choosing their management company. And during our time, it was just a matter of trust, but that was 30 years ago. But now you really have to have some information on hand to validate your choice of a management company, and look at how many they've had these businesses they've had all these years, and did they lose some, and why? Are they keeping most of them, and why? And are they taking care of their the owners who may be not in the state of where the property is, far away? And what is the relationship with the owners? Do they communicate directly, or do they just wait for the time when there is a problem to communicate with them? Are you continuously aware of what's happening in the neighborhood of where the property is located? All those things are very important for a good property manager to be chosen as the best for your property. Because the property manager, like in the case of our property in Woodbridge, we have 2 other managers, but they don't have our concern, our immediate concern. Their concern is for the community and for the welfare of everybody else, but not to one specific person who lives there and who doesn't even live there but has the property tenanted. Yeah, those are things that we look for in a management company. In effect, whatever you as the property manager does is what we're looking for.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that. So let me ask you a couple more questions here. What made you stay with Management One for 33 years? Because that's a long time, right? We're not talking 3 months or 3 years. We're talking 33 years, over 3 decades. So was there one thing or 2 things that really you felt that we were the company for you that sticks out?
There are only 2 names, Ron and Cherry Vasquez.
Yeah, Sherry does an awesome job.
Yeah, that's the relationship that I have established, and it's something that I really care for.
Yeah, well, we've always tried to, keep our ear to the ground and listen to our customers, and over the years and stuff, and we've tried to stay in touch as much as we can with our clients and stuff, and and we thank you for that compliment. That's very nice of you. So any last thing you'd like to say or ask a question of or anything?
Thank you. Thank you.
Now we'd like to thank you for everything, Ron. We could not have survived 30 years without you, and really appreciate the personal touch. It was a different kind of arrangement or relationship. It's more than what is ordinary. So we'd like to thank you. We'd like to thank your staff, and we'd like to thank Cherry Vasquez. Thank you very much.
Well, I will let the staff know, and I'll let Sherry know. Best of luck to you. Okay. So nice to see both of you. Okay, and I
Thank you.
hope to see you in person in a couple weeks. Okay.
Yes. Bye. Bye for now.
Bye bye. Bye bye.